Welcome to ASAP Elite. The road to perseverance is riddled with detours that forces man to find oneself. Once located, he acquires perspective wisdom, which empowers him to navigate those who mistakenly find themselves traveling that exact same road trodden. Today, we are absolutely honored to bring to you quarterback, artist, and kick-ass musician, the king of Orange County, Mr. Todd Marinovich.
Wow, what an introduction.
Yes,
Thank
sir,
you.
man.
Yeah, see,
It's a
and
pleasure.
here's the thing, Todd. I grew up in Riverside, so
Okay.
not only so now you understand why I'm such a huge USC fan. On top of the fact that I had my best friend and had family members that went to SC as well.
Cool. I get
Oh,
it. It's a family affair.
sure.
Absolutely.
Just got off the phone with our cousin, Sammy Knight. He said hello.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Sammy
man.
was a player.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was all right.
Yeah, he was a player. He might have been.
He would have been better if
Um,
you went to Michigan.
No, no.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
though,
we're not even gonna start that. No, no.
he was heavily recruited. I remember coming out of high school, like maybe the most sought after guy before I was. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and truthfully, Ryan, his brother, was actually more highly
More
recruited
so.
than Sammy was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right.
Right. That's worse. Hey, but on a serious note, before we get
That
going, I
was
would like to
serious.
acknowledge. Before we get going, I would like to acknowledge the homegoing of Colin Powell. Growing up in Detroit, his achievements and presence proved to be extremely influential, while allowing this young black man to realistically dream big. Rest in peace,
Cool.
General.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
Rest in peace.
First and foremost, allow me to express how much I respect and admire you, Todd. It takes
Thank
a
you.
special person to publicly display their battles within, man. So, yeah, much love, brother.
Thank you. I really had no choice to be to be honest with the fact of going through my trials and tribulations on a public platform. And my heart goes out to anybody that is suffering, but for those that are doing it like myself in the public eye, it adds a layer to it. And I have people that I look up to that have overcome similar demons as I have. And without them, I don't know if I would be here today. And it's really a collaborative effort. And some of these people don't even know, like Robert Downey Jr. is one that I look up to because we all know his story, and he just kept battling, and that affected me. And I haven't had an opportunity to share with him how I feel, but like I said, it's a group effort, and sometimes you don't even know who you're affecting. And hopefully, my journey can inspire some other people, like Robert has to me.
When and how did you reach the point to be strong enough to portray public accountability? And what advice would you give to someone that is conflicting in that conflictive stage?
Good question. I think I have a lot of wisdom around me, where I have go-to guys. And one of my go-to people, who's really a spiritual advisor, said, your how did he put it? It was, your mental health is in direct relation to your ability to take responsibility. And
I like that.
I wasn't willing for a freaking long time.
Mhm.
And so if you're not there yet, I totally understand. I played the victim role for a long time, and it worked for me for a little while. And it was, if you had a dad like me, you'd get loaded too. And, a lot of my experience that I was a victim was when I was a child, and a lot of people go through that too. And children are victims. And it's one of my really not sore spots, but it, my heart goes out to kids. And I think as a culture, we really need to protect our youth, man. And and that's from the inside out. We really need to protect them in all areas. So I had to let go of that card, that victim card. It was like, okay, these bad things have happened when I was a child, but now as a young man and an adult, what am I going to do to make it different? I could live in that victim role forever, and people do. I'm really grateful that like I said, I have people that I can go to and really guide me, man. I really needed some guidance, and I thought, like a lot of young people do, is this feeling of invincibility, that I can take on this world by myself. I don't need anybody. I get hurt by people, so I am just going to be a recluse, and that doesn't work for me. And I don't think human beings are made to be alone. And
that's right.
So my feeling about just addiction in general is it's really it's isolation illness, man. We isolate, and I did it for years. And like I said, I thought I could do it alone, and until I reached a point of being so freaking uncomfortable in my own skin, I knew I needed to do something different. I just didn't know how. So that's why I'm saying, if there is a message for people that are struggling in any facet of life, and especially in addiction, is that my experience has shown me that I cannot do it alone. Even though my head may tell me that I got this, I really don't.
Yeah, I think it's really important what you've stated, right? You said there's so much to unload in your comments. One of the things that that I'm curious to get your input in is because, as a top level, a high caliber athlete, there's a lot of pressure on you. You know, you talked about your dad, but I mean, even society, right? And
Yes.
one of the things that I've seen, even a correlation that's not so much in the sports arena, but even those, like when I was in college, I had friends whose parents had such high expectations as to them going to med school and things like that, and so that led to, um, you know, alcohol abuse and drug, because they needed an escape, right? And so,
Self-medication. Yes.
yeah, so talk about, that stroke and how to help those who may be going through that right now.
I do a lot of speaking, and then I feel like whenever I am asked, it's my duty to share my experience. I got really nothing else to nothing else to give, but to share it. And so I will always share myself with people, and I think it can be really magical. And one of the things, when I do speak, I speak at a lot of high schools, and more students come up to me that aren't athletes, that are exactly like you said, that have parents that really have set goals for their kids and are extremely rigid in what they believe their child should do. And I can obviously relate with that. And that puts an extreme amount of pressure on these young people. And I had a feeling, which I've connected with these students about, is this feeling of, I am trying to please, and I think it's natural for kids to want to please their parents. Sure. And at what cost are we trying to please our parents? If we lose ourselves in the process, I think there's huge danger in that. And now that I'm a parent, I can see the other side of the coin. Right. And it's a fine line, because I obviously do not want to push my kid into anything that is unhealthy. However, since I have lived and experienced a lot of life, I start thinking I know. And you know what? I really don't know. You know what? I think I know what I've experienced, and I know the athletic arena and I know these things, but in reality, do I really know what's best for my kid? You know what? I don't know. And so I have, like I said, I have a lot of go-to guys that have lived that life of raising kids. And I started late, thank God. And it was by no decision on my part to do so. It was just all of a sudden at 40, I'm a dad. And I was like, wow, what a great experience that I'm embarking on. But I had no idea how my upbringing was going to shape my kids. And there were certain things, obviously, I wanted to pass on. And then there were other things I didn't want to pass on. And so I'm caught in this place of asking a lot of fucking questions, excuse my French. So I, by all means, do not know what I'm doing. But what I do know is that I have an open mind and I ask a lot of questions. And I have some people around me that are really experienced. And you can't argue with experience, man.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Can you still throw the deep comeback?
You know what? That wasn't, I don't think it ever was my strong suit, but what I can still throw is that little fade, goal line fade, and the corner route, which I got those dirty little Bruins on in 1990 to Johnny Morton in the back of the end zone.
Yeah,
and you guys know the fade in the corner, it's the same throw. It's just a little different way of getting there.
You get at the pylon.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My bad. Hey, you were described as an artist who focuses on expressionistic, abstract, and public works of art. Sammy Knight made me aware of your $1 billion art gallery at Allegiant Stadium.
Nice.
What is your importance of having What is the importance of having a creative source of self-expression from a therapeutic perspective?
Holy smoke! I cannot tell you. I cannot say enough about that, and it's something that I can't take any credit for. I have always, I like to, you know, what hindsight is, you know, they say it's 2020, and I look back on my life, and without a doubt, I was an artist first and an athlete second. My earliest ages were doodling and creating and drawing, and I couldn't get enough. But also there was an outlet also at recess. I couldn't get enough of recess also. And so I knew early on that my passion would lie in creativity and making stuff and then expressing myself out on the playground. And, you know, people are under the misconception that it was all about being a quarterback. And it truly wasn't when I was young. It was about playing every sport I could, because everything fell away from me out on the field or out on the basketball court, which was my first love. So and I get it. And I think it's really important it was in my life. And I'm conveying that to my kids. It doesn't matter what sport you play. It matters that you're on a team, because team sports, because I did track, and I hated to be by myself. And I know it's a team sport, but you're out there alone. And
that's Hassan.
Yeah. And I'm looking around for my guys, and it's just me running this 440, which was grueling of a race.
I agree.
Right. And Marv made me do that shit because he knew that you can't run that 440 and not be mentally tough.
Absolutely.
You gotta just quiet the mind and run through it. But I am a big proponent of team sports, man. I think there's magic in the team, and I still find out how life parallels being on a team, man. Every day stuff pops up like this. This is a great foundation for young people to start their life on. It's this team sports gig.
Definitely.
That's
it builds character.
Sure
Definitely.
does.
Yep.
You know, and you talk about, and one, first and foremost, let me stop and say I appreciate you putting track out there like that, because you know folks,
Yeah.
they try to disrespect my track, you know, they're
No.
like you just run around, and here's the
Right.
thing, that 440 will
Hmm.
make a man out of anybody. That race hurts.
It
But
does
no,
hurt.
you know, one of the things that you really talked about, and it's something that I experienced myself, right? Um, as an all-American track athlete in high school, my senior year was actually my best year, and part of that reason is kind of the same thing that you talked about, right? When I had things that were going wrong in my life and personally, and when I got on that track, right, it was almost like I could let all of that go. I could take all of
Yes.
my aggression out on the track. Yes, you can take your aggression out on the track just like you can on a football field or a basketball court, but
Yep.
it allowed me to kind of have a getaway, if you will. And and
Yep.
and I used that and parlayed it into a scholarship. And
You're
so
doing
that was
fast.
Right.
I'm just
Straight
saying
up.
it was the thing is I took the speed that I already had, and I
Hmm.
and I just really just got into you know, trying to be the best that I could be, even in practice, right? Because
Right.
I mean I worked harder than I ever worked, and it showed. And
Yes.
so that was one of the things. I think sport is always a good outlet to help you to get away from, if you will, life at times.
For sure. And what I also love about sports and about the preparation for sports, which really um, I value and I also am experiencing today, is uh, the discipline that it takes. And then when you start putting in time and then you start seeing results,
Right.
it is a natural law that you figure out through athletics that, man, the more I put into this, I'm
Mhm.
getting something out of it.
Yeah, it's a
And
Absolutely.
direct reflection.
yeah, because I tell you what, I wouldn't have spent the hours upon hours that I did if it wasn't working. I'd have
Right.
been like, I'll be at the beach while you guys are doing that.
Right.
Um, and I had a built-in coach with my dad that wouldn't allow that anyway. But I'll tell you, it is carried over into my life. Like, it is a natural law. The more passionate you're about something and the more time you spend, you cannot help but improve and get better. It's just you're going to improve whatever craft that is.
Gotcha. Hey, when did you fall out of love with the game?
God, good question. And now I'm back in love with it.
It happens. It comes in spurts. It's like a drug,
Yeah, right. And it was my son,
toxic
Baron.
relationship.
I didn't watch it for years, and now Baron is 12. He's playing flag football, and of course, like myself, I didn't want to be the center of attention. So he was like, "I want to be split out, and you just throw me the ball when I'm open," like I tried to do, and it just wasn't in the cards for me, and it doesn't look like it's in the cards for him because nobody can get him the ball. So now he's throwing the ball.
Oh,
So yeah, having a son who does, and I've tried to redirect him to golf, to basketball, to baseball, and he's having none of it. So all I can do is support him and let him know he's not playing tackle football until high school. And that was a hard pill for him to swallow. But as a parent, it's my duty to try to protect him. And I feel like that's the best I can do at this time, is just postpone the the physicality of football, because they can change all the rules they want, as long as when there's young men strapping helmets on their heads and putting shoulder pads on, there's going to be serious injury. And
gotcha.
so I am not going to rob him of that experience. So if he wants to do it, which I think he will, I'm just going to be a spectator.
Todd, we wouldn't be here
Yes.
without our game. I retired when
That's
I was
right.
28. Yeah, this is what I do. I'm a ball player, man. I'm a receiver. Yes, sir. We wouldn't be here. If Bell knew who I am today and let me know where I was on the food chain and what I need to do to be better.
You
So it's
know,
a direct reflection of character.
Yeah.
I played arena ball.
Okay.
At
I did
6'3",
too.
225. Yeah, I know. I know, man. I know everything about you. Yes, sir.
so one of the things that you said, when you talk about your kid and telling him he's not to play until he was in high
Nice.
school, and it's funny because I actually didn't put I purposely didn't put my son in tackle football until he got older, and this was on the advice of Sammy Knight.
There
So
you
when I
go.
first moved to Houston, and I
Been
was just
miserable.
like, hey, I'm not, I'm getting ready to get him registered. We're back in Texas now, and
Yeah.
I'm about to. And he was just like, man, he said, listen, he said, you can do what you want to do, but if your son is fast like you are, you probably want to hold him off and you let him play flag football, let him understand the game, and because
Yeah.
right now they're young and just slamming into each other, and you don't want that kind of beating on his body. Well, I actually held him out just a little longer than Sammy
Uh-huh.
had recommended,
Yep.
but I will say, to some extent I feel bad that I did, because I think that his skill level would be higher, because as an eighth grader was his first year of playing tackle football. And then
Yep.
he's a freshman this year. This is his second year. So he's trying to continue to learn the game, because flag football, and when you
Yep.
put them pads on,
It's different.
two different
Yeah.
stories.
I
Yeah.
played.
So
I strapped up at 5 years old and retired when I was 28. So I never had an in between.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely. So I understand the theory and the analogy with it, especially with the analytical approach to it. That's the best way to do it, man, to keep them healthy and to learn the game. I probably would have been a way better receiver if I would have just played 7-on-7. We didn't have those leagues though.
Right.
yeah.
I
Like they
know it.
did. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
see, for
love.
me, I'm just gonna make sure that, now, like, this is his freshman year. I already
Yep.
told him, I said, hey, if this is really what you want to do, we're gonna hit it this offseason. You're
There
gonna
you go.
get to see what it's like to really hit it this offseason, because we're gonna come back next year a beast.
There you go. And you know what? The thing that helped when I look back on my playing days, I think the number one thing that helped me at an early age was playing with older kids. And my dad, I'd never played with kids my age, it seemed. And I was always playing 2 grades up. And that was huge. Did I want to do it? Not all the time. I wanted to like dominate kids my own age, but that wasn't gonna progress me like playing with more mature older kids, without a doubt.
Let's shoot it in 3, 2, 1. Hook, 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 hook. Come on, y'all. Come on. Dig. Come on, dig. Come on, hit that body. Come on, y'all. Punch like you mean it. Come on, punch. Let's get it. 6, 5. A little harder. Go forward. 3, 2. Box and shuffle. Come on, shuffle.
Yeah, it works both ways, but one drill that I heard that I was just astonished by that Mr. Marinovich has you doing, man, was in a dark room, balancing with one leg, dribbling the ball.
Jeez, we did all kinds of stuff like that. And you know
Amazing.
what? Yeah. And Marv he was a different breed for sure. If he didn't know, he didn't pretend like he knew, which is an important, I think, a really quality trait of
Absolutely.
if you and he didn't pretend. And what he did, he always had his feelers out. And so when I was playing baseball, he was about going over to the Angels because he was coaching with the Rams. And if you're on that professional level, you have access to guys. And so he got me some of the best coaching from the Angels at a young age. And so He and then, like you said, all these techniques of balancing and doing arithmetic that came also from an eye doctor that was the Angel's eye doctor. And so he was open-minded, and his passion, was me, and also was can I improve a player's athleticism? And before that point, he didn't know. And what his experience was, is a lot of ours, is weight training. The great ones, in spite of their training, dominate. The training necessarily doesn't get him to be great. And it's starting to come around with training, but it seems that football sets the tone for all training. It's weird. All the other sports seem to follow what the football team's doing. If you go to any university, this is usually the case. It's the football team's weight room, and then other sports use it.
It's more crucial to life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's more crucial. This sport, you know what I'm saying? It really alter your life. So I understand that perspective. That collision.
For sure. And so one thing, I was an experiment in the weight room with Marv. He experimented with himself and found out that by lifting all this weight, it just tore his body apart. Yeah. And so he wasn't going to do that with me, but all the things that we did weren't necessarily improving my athleticism. What was it doing? It was giving me some serious foundation in discipline and spending the time. And that alone can give you an advantage. Yeah. And so as he progressed through his scientific approach, he didn't come across his groundbreaking stuff until late in his career with Troy Polamalu, who proved, God dang, and Sammy, proved that, man, he is onto something. I never got to play under the influence of Marv's training, really. The good stuff, I like to say. But by just spending the time, I think mentally you can gain an advantage, even if you're doing the wrong shit.
Yeah. Hey, now, Todd, the world has evolved into something new that we never imagined as kids,
Right.
As well as, the adult to kid dynamic, with your experience, really, definitely, with your experience, being trained by your father, how would you suggest going about training kids in 2021 with this generation? It's a little different.
It is a little different.
Can we add a twist on that? I'm sorry.
Sure.
I'm so, as a father and a coach, right? Yep. I put the twist on it, being the coach dad, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I have played that role, and I'm doing it right now. We got a game tomorrow night. It's the best situation I've had yet in the coaching role. Is there's a head coach, and he had never coached before, and he said, well, I told him that I would handle the football stuff if he handled the parents and the emails and the practice schedule. And so it is awesome for me, and he loves it too. But what I'm doing with my son is that since I know a lot of guys in the game, a lot of them are coaches, I am letting some other people share their perspective on the position, because I do not know it all. And I have some experience there, but you know what? From my experience as being a son and being coached by my dad, I was always more attentive to somebody else. Yeah. Just because dad is dad. There's just a dynamic there. And so I understand that. And I don't do a whole lot of teaching or coaching. I mean, I can't help myself sometimes, but I think it's healthy to let other people share their experience with your kids.
I would wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that father dad coach thing was something that I always struggled with.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, it got really old really quick, but mine was a special case, really. It was not it wasn't the norm.
You made 30 for 30. I mean, you're
right.
Yeah, you're definitely.
Hey, and let me say on that note, before I forget, that 30 for 30 really changed my life. I can't even believe it was 11 years ago that came out. And it really gave people a different perspective on my dad and my relationship. And it connected people to me from all over the world. It was on Netflix for a while. So, I was getting interviews from or getting emails from Australia, Ireland, you name it. And so that it changed my life. And however, there was a lot of the film spent a lot of time rehashing old stuff that a lot of people already knew.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
I thought it was going to be different. However, it's definitely a group effort, been filming for the last 8.5 years, and the film's finally getting edited as we speak, and it'll be released this next summer. And it's called Buzzy, because I called my dad Buzzy and he called me Buzzy. And you can imagine what we've compiled in 8 years, like real time.
Absolutely.
It could be called The Struggle is Real.
Yeah, for sure.
Without a doubt, because in the first film, the 30 for 30, as great a job they did, kind of painted the picture of driving off into the sunset. Everything is great, happy ending.
You're on the beach chilling too. Yeah,
That's right.
Comfortable.
It's like, how bad could it be, Todd? You're on the beach in freaking Orange County, California, right? So this is going to be the raw, real story of my journey, and I'm in the process of doing the soundtrack. It's amazing that I get to I'm an artist, and it doesn't really matter what medium. And I've been exploring music, which I've always loved, but actually writing and playing and putting together a band and an album is like a dream come true. Yeah.
You need a wannabe rapper?
I may.
I can help you, man. I can help you. Hey,
We'll
yeah,
talk.
definitely. Hey, we definitely would love for you to come, promote your movie. I caught wind of that. I want to ask you about that. When
Okay.
it comes out, when it's getting ready to come out, come on the show, man. If you could promote that here, that'd be incredible. I'll push that thing all around the country. You know what? I personally seen the Marinovich project maybe 15 times.
Wow.
Maybe 7 in this last week. Yeah, but 3 times this morning. So for our listeners across the country, all of us have been affected by family trauma one way or the other.
Yes.
So many stories written about you that is, one's opinion, should I say.
Yes. Yeah.
This is your opportunity to tell your story in your own words in hopes that it can help save someone's life.
Wow. And where I start, and you know what, you touched on something that is, I didn't realize the effects of childhood trauma until I experienced this journey of life. And, with people in my situation that are substance abusers or alcoholics, whatever, I look at it as it's all the same. I think that a staggering statistic is that most of these people that are self-medicating, there's a reason for it. And a lot of it lies in this childhood trauma. And I know it did for me. And so the thing that I didn't realize was that trauma is stored in my body and is not going anywhere. And it's changing the way that I see the world and how I react to you and everybody in it. And until I address this, nothing's going to change. I'm going to keep stubbing my toe and showing up on SportsCenter, acting out in ways that are not my true self. And the only way I can get to my true self is through uncovering all of this stuff that I've been stuffing and don't even realize it. That's the whole thing. This stuff is going on a subconscious level. And if I think I'm going to figure it out, I'm going to continue doing what I've been doing. And it may sound complicated, but really the key to all this is a willingness to want something different. And I have to be willing to do something different if I want something different. And that's pretty damn simple, and I can get that. And so it took me to get to the point of being willing to do anything. And that's the thing. For a long time, I wanted something different. I'm the first one to raise my hand. I do not want to end up like where I'm sitting right now. I'm full of freaking self-loathing and hatred. So I do want something different, but am I willing to do it? Fuck no, I ain't willing, because that takes balls. That takes being uncomfortable. That takes going through some freaking dark emotions. But the thing about life is it's relentless. It's been my experience that it's gonna beat me into submission. And if I do survive, like thank God I have, I get an opportunity to take action and do something. Like I said right out of the beginning, am I going to be a victim, or am I going to actually change and be productive?
That's good stuff right there.
Are you going to be a victim, or are you going to actually change and be productive?
Yeah. Because we have, you know what, we're all, I really believe, man, we are individuals, but we're freaking the same. And you know what, nobody, it's so easy to say, yes, I'll start tomorrow. Fuck, that tomorrow just kept going, man. And decades were passing me by. And you know what, if I don't really have a lot of regret, but I do have some disappointment in the fact that of the time that I wasted. But I can't get that back, so there's no reason for me to dwell on it.
That's
but
right.
I do share with young people that, man, I thought that this youth was gonna last forever, and I touched on this invincibility feeling that I think all youth have it, especially athletes. But the shit does not last. And this lifetime goes, it seems like it's momentum. The older I get, the faster time is going.
Yeah, I noticed.
Right?
Now, does these these rehab centers,
yes,
do they really work, man?
Very good question. And you know what? I had some opinions about them, and they're just opinions. But what my experience is with them is that I wouldn't be sitting here today if there weren't. They pulled me out of the fire that I was in. And some people can just do an about face in their town or hood that they grow up in and be okay. I needed to be removed from that shit and taken maybe to another freaking state. So everything is different. My environment's different, and I then can focus on me. So you know what? They worked for me. And really, what is the definition of work? Because I've been in and out and did not stay sober and did not fly right. But what it did, it gave me a minute to reflect and get myself pulled from that fire. So in my case, I think they saved my life.
You were pulled from that fire. Did it minimize your depression?
You know what? I don't suffer from depression. Have I been depressed? Yeah, because when you blow up your life like I did mine,
exactly,
you're gonna feel it. And a lot of people are uncomfortable. Obviously, you're going to be uncomfortable when you've if your life is a car wreck, and mine was for quite some time. And of course, you're going to feel the effects of that. And I think it's important for us, and I know it was important for me to feel that and not run to the psychiatrist and say, I'm feeling depressed. Can you prescribe something, which is just a Band-Aid anyways. So I know there are people that do suffer from real depression, and I don't, thank God.
You have something else?
No, the thing is, I think we all have our struggles, and I appreciate you, Todd, for saying all that you said, especially talking about being the victim and how you
Yeah.
actually used that and changed your whole paradigm as it came
Yes.
to being a victim. And I can tell you, as someone who does deal with depression, a lot of what you said and how you dealt with it is a lot of how I deal with things now, right? I mean, we all have our own journeys, and
Right.
for me, I think what I realized, because as an athlete, and I can even see it even more so as football players who may deal with depression or mental health issues. It's a taboo.
Yes.
And so what happened to me is, once I found out that I was dealing with depression, all it did was make me more depressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but then, of course, just my relationship with God really helped to pull me through. But more than anything, I realize now that I can actually use my experience with depression to help others, to let them know that,
Yep.
hey, it's not always rainbows and butterflies around here. I
Right.
mean,
For sure.
and it's okay that it's not.
Yes.
And so,
Right.
and we share experiences, kind of like what you're doing now. You're sharing your experience, and I love the fact that, because basically what you said without saying was, everybody has their own journey. You had to be totally uprooted from where you were to get there, where some people can actually do it in the environment that they're currently in.
Correct. For sure.
Just
You
to,
know, I
I'm sorry.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go ahead. Well, okay, yeah. Just to let you know, like I said, man, you're one of my heroes, man. I wore a Jimi Hendrix shirt for you today.
I
That's for you. Oh,
love
yeah, I
that.
got this shirt. Like, this is Todd. I'm
I
like,
love I love that. I do. I
yes,
do.
sir. Go ahead.
And,
Finish.
you know, what my journey has, and I'm grateful that I'm still on it, because my decisions that I've made in the past, I should not be here. And you touched on a force that I call God, that has intervened in my life in a way that is undeniable. If I was an atheist going in, there is no way that it'd be humanly possible to remain an atheist if I were one. So this is a power that I get to have a relationship with today that has made my life and one big adventure. I get to my life. My life is unfolded now into one that I'm starting to realize, and it's taken 52 years, that being an artist, it is the ultimate art, is creating the life that you want.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I can create a life that I want, not what my dad wants, not what my mom wants or my sister wants. I get to create it. And I don't say I get to co-create it. That's because right. I am definitely not the creator. I come from the creator, and that's why I truly believe we're all creators. So, you know what? I learn, I don't know it all, and I just keep my ears open, and I try not to offer advice or opinion unless it's asked for, because I just don't know. And my journey has taught me to be empathetic towards all, even those that I don't understand. Since I've been on the side of this, the addictive ones that our culture is starting to really turn the corner and not criminalize us. That's a major like stepping stone.
Absolutely.
You know, it is a
Absolutely.
breakthrough. Fuck, I can't even tell you how I felt for a lot of years going, I'm not a freaking criminal, man. I do have an issue with substances. That's evident. But like locking individuals like myself up is a freaking crime. So that being said, we're headed in the right directions in a lot of areas. And thank God for that. But my mind is open to people. My mind is completely open to the human struggle, no matter what the struggle is. If it's weight, which a lot of us have, I used to make fun of that. Now I don't, man. I don't. It's people's struggle to live because it kills people. Weight, cholesterol, heart issue, all this. So I have stopped. I wish I could honestly say I've stopped judging, but I'm getting better. And
well, at least you're honest.
yeah, right.
It's
And the funny part, guys, is I swear this is like 100% of the time. You would think after being wrong 100% of the time, I would stop judging. But until I talk to somebody, I'm like, oh, I don't really want to talk to them. They're wearing this. And then when I do, they're my favorite people.
Just make sure you don't talk to Gruden.
Right. But in my head, I'm like, if I just listen to my head, I'm not talking to anybody. But if I break that separation between a stranger or a friend, and I actually engage and connect, I love people.
Yeah.
And I found that out later in life. I was so afraid that I lived in fear for a very long time, and it's not like I don't anymore. I still have fears, and I think I always will. But sharing them and bringing them to light, and once they're brought to light, they sound kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so that's just one thing that I work on a daily basis, man, is talk about things that scare me, and a lot of the time they're not even real.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things that and you said this again without saying it. Here's what I believe the biggest disease that we have, right, as people. This is bigger than COVID. This is bigger than cancer. It's the unwillingness to understand people that don't look like or that are different from you.
Right.
That's the biggest disease we have, because that in itself is that's where you start judging, and that's when
for sure
you start putting people in boxes. We don't do a great job of having the willingness to understand people who are different than ourselves.
Very well said.
Hey, like I said, once finding oneself, he acquires perspective wisdom, which empowers him to navigate those who mistakenly finds themselves traveling that exact road less trodden.
That's right.
It doubles back to that.
Yes.
Before we get out of here, can you leave our audience with some words of advice or affirmation, anything that can help them in their journey, in their fight to whatever problem, whether it's addiction or whether it's just trying to put their best foot forward, man, just to raise the spirits of someone's day. Just some words of inspiration, man.
You know what? One that used to piss me off, that it's funny that I'm actually going to say it. This was years ago when somebody said to me, Todd, you really need to be gentle with yourself. And I freaking looked and was like, what? I really couldn't even wrap my head around the concept. Why? Because I was nowhere near gentle. I was, if my self-talk was actually not in my head, was a friend next to me, I would be trying to get away from that friend at all cost. But now this voice is not a friend. It's in my head. And I really had to start taking a look, and it all comes down to awareness, how aware we are and how aware I am today. And I'm aware of my thoughts today, and I'm aware of how violent I can be. And if I'm violent with me, how do you think our relationship is going to be? It ain't going to go well. And
right.
So the old saying is, you really can't love anybody until you love yourself. And I didn't like that one either, because I wasn't loving myself. And today I can say I like myself, and my relationships, I don't have any like adversaries or conflict, because if I do have conflict in my relationships, you know what I do today is I don't text people. I go see them.
That's right.
Because there's freaking nothing like eye to eye. And I had a guy called me. This was a counselor from 15 years ago I haven't talked to. He said, Todd, I got this kid who goes to Long Beach Poly. He's got potential, but he's got some substance issues. And he said, do you have time, maybe 5 minutes to FaceTime? And I said, where are you? I will be there. And I'm not saying that to pump me up. It's just, there's something magical. And like I said, when I'm asked to do something, share my experience, I go. And it's my duty. And it's my duty to him because he pulled me out of the fire. And and I believe that God speaks through people. And so when people pick up the phone to call me, I call them back and I'll meet them if it has depth and weight to it, like this kid's life.
Hey man, I'd rather you text me, man, instead of you walking up. You look like you still play right now.
And Todd, one thing I really want to say is that, and we talked about this when we interviewed Anthony Lynn. He's one person that doesn't necessarily like to be in the spotlight, if you will.
Right.
But I think it's important that you have certain people in the spotlight, whether they want to be there or not, because people need to see the people who are doing it right.
Yeah.
Right.
For
and
sure.
so the thing is all that you've gone through, your story has been on display. Like you said, you had to deal with this issue in public. And for that, I commend you. I commend you wholeheartedly. Just like, they had the whole thing about Naomi Osaka. And one of the comments that I made is I was just like, as someone who deals with depression and deals with self-worth at times, I can deal with that privately. But to have to deal with that publicly and people just constantly expecting you to be the supreme, it's got to be tough. And so we need people like you being out here on the front lines, sharing your story, giving your insight, and just helping us to be better versions of ourselves. Yeah,
man. And I think it's really important. And my hat goes off to those that are still playing the game, that are coming out and being honest, because as you know, being an athlete, we're taught not to show weakness. Right. And I think that's okay on the field. But when we step off the field, I think it's important that our friends and people watching us and people all over our country see that we are not superheroes. We might be out on the field, but when we step off the field, we have our same fears, struggles that all of us do.
Absolutely.
And to hear these guys come right out and big time names say, I'm struggling with this, that shows me that, man, this guy has got courage and he's leading by example. And I love it.
Hey, Todd, man, you see, got something for you. Right?
I see that. Was the first thing I saw. I was like, nice. Nice.
What do we have to do to get an original Todd Marinovich piece of art form here?
It'll to go up on your wall?
Yes, sir.
I can get one out to you. I'm the guy.
But I know that
guy. I know a guy, and I'll get it to you.
Yeah, all right.
Amazing. Hey, I just want to thank you for coming on, man. This was amazing. This is what our show is all about. It's different than any other show out here. It's strictly on educating, informing, and being motivational, man. Yep. ASAP.
Awesome. And using sport as that medium to do that. And so
that's right.
This has been amazing.
If your father is telling you to eat your vegetables, or your father is telling you to work out, is different than Todd Marinovich or LeBron James telling you to eat your broccoli. Exactly what you said, and that's the driving force of our show, and that's what we do, man.
That's right.
And thank you so much, man. You took a chance on us, and it was
perfect. You. You know what? I'm following my intuition today, and you know what drugs and alcohol did was just snuff out that intuitive spot in my heart. And when I answered that email, I knew right away. I didn't realize that it was going to be so good. So keep on doing what you guys are doing, because this is a great form.
It wouldn't be good without you, brother.
Thank you.
Yes,
and others like you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Great. Hey, man.
It's one of those things you just can't start talking immediately.
That was amazing. goodness.
It was. It was.
That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we're here for. We're here to help. We're here to assist in every way that we possibly can, man. Servitude and ASAP Elite go hand in hand, along with
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, let's get on out of here, brother. Hey, I had an overflow. But before we get out of here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
Yes, sir.
Where is that house? Where is it?
Right here. Right here.
Yeah,
right
for
here.
sure. And you gotta hit the like one too. If you don't like this one, that's just a hater.
Right.
At
some point, not doing what you're supposed to do is just plain out hating. I'm just saying.
Goodness. Yeah, that's just hateration or toleration in its dictionary. Look, until next week, we'll see you later on ASAP Elite.